Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the first ever book club that we're recording specifically for Rat's Nest, but probably not the first book club that'll be on the channel. Yeah, I'm the Rat, and this is the Rat's Nest. I'm joined, as always, by Cade. Say hi, Cade.
Hello, everyone.
We're reviewing a magnum opus of a haunted artist.
A very tortured individual.
you could say
someone who may be a little bit infamous, just a tad.
You know, they say art comes from pain.
If that's the case, this might be the greatest work of art ever created.
Would you like to introduce the series, Kid?
Right, and I've got a couple amendments I want to make for the content because we're going to be reviewing this entire thing. So
obviously,
this is what's the official name of it? Just so I don't,
full official name.
Right. I think it's just called Sonichu. I think that's what it's called. There's not a official, whatchamacallit name. The title at the very beginning of this entire thing, it's just titled Sonichu. Like, it's got the big old lightning bolt logo made by CWC Comics, Yeah.
Naturally.
I wanted to before we discuss this at all, I wanted to make a statement. So I think there's a little bit of a contingency in the Quickie fandom. Quickie referring to Christian Weston Chandler Wiki, CWC Icky.
It's good to know.
There's a bit of a contingency of when we refer to older material, do we refer to the individual who wrote it as Chris Chan or Christine Chan? Based on obviously current events. And the consensus among Christorians, as we refer to ourselves as, is that we will refer to him as Chris Chan, because prior to this, that gives you context. Now later on, that will change because there will be a stark random 180 where everything changes without context. But for right now, we will refer to everything as it is in context. So go ahead. I know how hard it might be. Take whatever you've heard about Chris Chan recently. Push it aside. We'll get back to it.
Yeah, I feel like it preserves the history of the text as well. Whenever we do that,
and you're exactly right. What did the great historians of our world?
The great historians.
They look at the great regular historians, when they looked back at the Constitution, and they go, oh man, everyone used to write on yellow paper. Like, no, you assumed that
blue. Everyone knows paper's blue before it's exposed to oxygen, then it turns red.
That's so true. Okay. So I've got several marks on this. I would first like to ask you, Brandon, before I ever go into some of the points that I've made. What did you think about issue 0?
Man, I can't. Every single time I turned to the page, I was always surprised. His chaotic style of writing.
It's a great way of putting it.
Really happened. There is certainly some stuff on the pages here.
There certainly something was written. That is true. I love Sonichu primarily because it comes across as the work of an individual who had major bullet points in his mind about what he wanted to do and did not worry about development whatsoever. For instance, a comic titled Sonichu, you would expect the love interest of whoever this Sonichu individual would be. It would follow some kind of arc, right? It'd start in its infancy and work its way slowly to some kind of, conclusion or resolution. They fall in love by page 14.
Hey, out of 48.
Issue 0 is 48 pages. 2 of the pages I have just mentioned in the 14 are the title page and a prologue. that has nothing to do with the story. So technically, it takes 12 pages for our main character to meet the damsel in distress, if you may.
Hey, some of those are his origin story.
That's true. There is quite a lot of origin to this story.
Is this entire volume an origin story in a way? It is issue 0.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is it's issue 0, and the reason why it's issue 0 is because technically Sonichu starts on issue 1, but there was a bit of a controversy where when it was being written, there was like a lot of confusion behind of what was going, because when the numbering was starting to get added, it wasn't referred to as issue 0. At least I don't think it is. I think if you go to is it referred to as? No, it is numbered as issue 0, huh? I guess that's just Chris Chan thinking that comics start on 0. That's, is what it is. There's some
it is the hand-drawn premiere issue.
It sure is. And I love the copyright on the title page saying copyrighted 2002 ? Because there's no copyright law we can reference to find out when that will expire.
So he said, so it's Christopher in quotation marks? Isn't his name just Christian Weston Chandler?
So that's the thing. So there's a funny little story. A long time ago, whenever Chris Chan was a child, I don't remember exactly what age he was. He was a little kid. He was named Christopher, right? And when he was at a mall with his father, they went and got a picture with this like character like dressed up as a bear. It's not referenced as if it's, Smokey the Bear or whatever, but he got a picture made with a bear, and the bear asked him, "What's your name, son?" And he said Christian. Or he said Christopher, and the bear misheard him as saying Christian when he said Christopher. Now, an average individual would be like, "Oh, that's funny. He's in his costume. He can't hear me." Chris and his dad interpreted that as, "Oh my goodness, we made a mistake. You should have been named Christian from the start." Because his dad wanted to name him. The dad originally wanted to name him Christian. But he kind of pussed out because he was like, we're not holy enough to do that. So they named him Christopher, but this bear misspoke his name, so they legally changed his name to Christian. And that is Christian's actual description of how he got renamed. So that's why it says Christopher in the title there. It's like, oh, haha.
And shouldn't Christian be in the quotation marks? It's like his legal name is Christopher Weston Chandler.
His legal name is Christian Weston Chandler.
Or they had it changed.
They had it changed when he was really little, yes. So, yeah, the bear. There is quite a lot of inside jokes among the Christorians. One of them being the mall bear that set us on this little journey we've been on. Another good thing I wanted to point out. Do you notice how Christopher's got 2 different colored eyes?
Yeah. He's like heterosexual or something?
He has what's called heterochromia. So heterochromia is not something you can catch. You get it as a child. Essentially, you were born with it, but the melanin in your eyes as you get older. And many babies, when they're born, have blue eyes. But over time, as their hair gets color and their skin gets like darker when they add melanin, sometimes your genes are just coded in a way that one eye gets more melanin than the others. And that blue turns green, and then it might turn brown. Chris Chan is one of those lucky individuals where one of his eyes turned green, but the other remained blue. So, Brandon, you find out in elementary school that you have this genetic disorder of heterochromia. What is your assumption as to how that happened? How do you guess?
My assumption is that I got the same genes as my sister.
Huh? Well... Chris Chan believes, and I quote, one time he forgot to wash his hands after taking a shit, and he touched his eyes and got pink eye, right?
Yeah.
And he believes when he got cured of pink eye, it gave him heterochromia. So,
naturally.
So that's all you need to know, prefacing this issue. Let's get into the funny details.
Yes,
right.
Let's get into it. So this is a little bit of a backstory before the backstory.
The backstory before the backstory is a great.
Immediately on the next page, we have the absolute bombshell of all Sonichu materials copyrighted March 2000 to 2005. So it expired in a year.
Yeah,
at the time of writing by Christian Weston Chandler. Any names or persons illustrated in any of the Sonichu comics, except that of Christian Weston Chandler, that may seem similar to anyone in real life are purely coincidental or otherwise parodic.
Yeah, go ahead and mark out that are purely coincidental. It is 100% parodic. Every character that is shown here that has resemblance to another character is parodic. Like there's no accidental ones, right?
Yeah.
So another funny thing, this page here of the all Sonichu material copyrighted 2000 to 2005, this was added after the fact. Originally, there was no line saying or otherwise parodic. This entire page was not here. It was only after Christian in real life, and we'll get into this. There's a character later on named Slawwheel the Witch, who has a bit of a resemblance to a real life figure that Christian, to the life of him, described as, no, it's not a depiction, an evil, twisted witch-like depiction of this very average woman just trying to do her job. No, it's just coincidence. It's coincidence. And after being pursued on it for too long, he added this page saying, no, it's a parody. Right?
Of course.
Okay. So we've now confirmed Christian dies in 2005, because the only way a copyright would run out like that, like very early, would be in that case where Christian dies. Yeah. So yeah. So what do you have that you took note of in this early little episode we've got here?
So you mean the origin story?
I do mean Sonichu's origin, yes.
Yeah, so basically, let's go through it real quick. Let's explore, right? Shall we? So we have that our story begins in an open field 5 miles from the city of Station Square. I assume that this is the city in the back there.
This is 100% running concurrent with Sonic Adventure 1's ending.
Naturally.
So Chaos is wreaking ham.
Chaos monster.
Yeah.
If Sonic the Hedgehog ponders over the destruction, a wild boy Pikachu takes notice of fire. I'm glad that he's a boy. I really am glad. He goes, Pika? And then he's alarmed. And
no, you're forgetting a crucial point. He's alarmed, but randomly slapped on the page. You just see, I am Christian Weston Chandler, Sonichu's creed.
And author of this comic. This is his story and nothing less.
Yeah, that's a lie. Almost immediately, this becomes Chris Chan's story.
Oh my gosh! Okay. And so we're going there. We see. I assume this is Sonic fighting this perfect chaos monster.
Yes.
And we have the boy Pikachu, watching him, and is like sweating. And something happens where he Sonic the Hedgehog runs up the monster, but then they get hit by a blast, and Sonic the Hedgehog goes at him and he goes ouch, and then the gay rainbow appears. And then 15 miles away, there's a girl Raichu, thankfully, right on the other end of this rainbow. And then we see our titular heroes, are
born.
Kyle's girlfriend and Sonichu himself are formed, and we
so
get
what do you
to
think
meet
of Kel? This character Kel.
Man, she is on the page right now.
She sure is, isn't she?
So it's at the cottage, right? Not the other cottage, the cottage. All right, I know where the cottage is, obviously. Right. I saw and she's questioning this girl.
Where's my Pokemon?
I am your Pokemon. I was hit by a rainbow and now I have transformed. Oh my, you're as beautiful as a rose. As a rose, I need a new name since I am a new Pokemon. So you may call me Rosechu, Zapbud.
Yeah, Zapbud is the official last name of Rosechu, which is
actually
funny because
I thought Rosechu was a last name.
No,
that's right. No, later we see that's their different forms. That's their different forms. That's right. That's right.
So, I know I don't want to kind of jump the ship again and add more context, but it is very important to note that that rainbow that we see, that you mentioned after, like at the last page, that is extremely important.
Why?
Like,
because blue is between yellow and green.
I'll put it like this. So you know how like in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which by the way, spoils for JoJo. There's
Which
the existence of Dio seems to be like the catalyst for almost every bad thing happening from parts 1 through 6.
Yeah.
The rainbow is the catalyst for every bad thing happening in every issue of Sonichu.
Yeah, because it starts the story.
And not just that, but almost every titular villain's born from it. Every side character's born from it.
There is no way.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you'd think something with such crucial detail would have some description. But no, it just happens. So, I think an important thing to note here is that Sonichu is indeed a Pokemon. He is 100% a Pokemon. Now, I know what you're thinking. Doesn't Pikachu evolve into Raichu? You're right. Does that mean that Sonichu evolves into Rosechu? Questionably.
Uh-oh. So,
because
if I throw
a
Thunderstone,
yeah,
does Sonichu become transgender?
There's confusion because Sonichu is largely considered to be kind of like an avatar-like being for Chris-chan, up until we are introduced in this issue to Chris-chan Sonichu, which then becomes the actual version. And here's the funny thing. When Chris-chan eventually switches to Christine Chandler, Chris-chan Sonichu turns into Christine Rosechu.
100% it's an evolution.
Which that's where we're getting at, is we're like, okay, now that makes sense now. So there's a couple of weird trickeroos here. I think it's funny that it's described as being a concurrent sequel to Sonic Adventure 1. However, Sonic he still exists in this universe, right?
How?
But we never see him ever again.
Well, like he can't. He's Sonichu now.
No, Chris. So if you go back and see what happens, Sonic hits the Pikachu, which transforms him into Sonichu. But we don't ever see Sonic ever again. In fact, Sonic kind of just leaves, and then Sonichu, does his job for him. So, is what it is.
I thought they combined.
They did not. No.
I see. That was my own misreading. I apologize.
All right, so now we're on to the first thing that I wanted to mention, and that is there is a very delightful thing that you can notice. If you've read this, it is riddled with typos. Like, oh my goodness. Like right now I'm looking at page 7. Funny hedgehog. That says, he says, and apparently I look like that hedgehog. Which is... You'd think if he wrote hedgehog right, like immediately after, he would notice. But no, it is what it is. Oh, and all the text on this was originally handwritten, and then it was dubbed over using Comic Sans. So
I'm so happy about that.
Right. So the best part about this is the first early issues have the most dynamic perspective of any of the issues. The later ones quickly devolve into the prequels of Star Wars, where it's like instead of action, we get, two characters standing in a room, and it's like over the shoulder dialogue, over and over and over. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Hunter x Hunter fan. I'm used to it. I wouldn't call myself a Hunter x Hunter fan. I've read Hunter x Hunter. That's what I'll say about it. I've read Hunter x Hunter. I'm used to it.
All right, now I want you to tell me, based on go to page 8 real quick, right?
Yeah.
I want you to tell me what's confusing about the location. So it says it is set in and around the city of Quickville, a vibrant community with good people and average amount of cool places to chill at. I am the mayor. I didn't even realize that there's a typo there, but these things happen.
Well, I mean, There's like 4 buildings, I guess.
Oh, no, you're looking way too into this. You need to zoom out a lot.
I don't...
How about the fact that the opening told us that this story occurred 5 miles from Station Square?
Well, now they're not there anymore, Cade. Obviously, he's Sonichu. He can go where he wants.
This officially confirms, no, we are not in the Sonic universe. This is what's happening in Chris Chan's cartoon world. Well, cartoon world here refers to all cartoons in general happen on the same planet. All of them. Including everything from One Piece to Peppa the Pig. They all happen on one planet. Including the capital of the world, Quickville, in which Chris Chan is the mayor, right? Who elected him mayor? Fuck all knows.
I don't know.
So
I can appreciate in his drawing up there. This is something that I would notice. So this was written, what, 2004-ish, right?
Somewhat, yeah.
That style that he's drawn in right there, like his head style, is very much anime-y of the time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's inspired by...
chin and flat face. That's very anime-y.
Yeah, and over time, you'll notice as he gets into Sailor Moon, it takes on more of a Sailor Moon aesthetic. And then as he gets into My Little Pony, it takes on a My Little Pony aesthetic. So you can watch it as it like morphs over time. So, okay.
The
so now
comic
some
title
of the
is Sonichu. By that we man the saga of the electric hedgehog Pokemon.
What? Hold on, what?
On the location, by that we man.
That we man.
It's so true.
Yeah. So
here we get the characters.
Yeah, so the characters here. Sonichu, he's 16 years old. That's important because Sonichu being 16 and Rosechu being 15 is a huge problem because
they
later
have
on
hot,
when
steamy
we get,
sex later.
They indeed do have hot steamy sex later. And
I mean, I guess that's good. That's a good
minors.
confirmation that Sonichu isn't gay. I was kind of thinking that at this point in the story. I hadn't seen him have hot, steamy sex with women.
Right. It's really up to anyone's guess. So here's the deal. There is a comic later on, I think it's issue 10, where at the very beginning it smacks you with this revelation that all characters are 18 now.
Oh.
So you're like, oh, okay, so does that mean like the youngest character, which is Bubbles Rosechu, I believe? So that would mean Bubbles Rosechu is 18 and everyone else would be aged up beyond that? No,
everyone's just 18. Every
character is 18. What does that mean? Time dilation.
Natural.
That's all. Okay, so let's get into some of the funny descriptions. So Rosechu gets this enormous, description. Sonichu gets this really long description. Kel gets one sentence.
Just says Kel is Pokemon trainer.
Yeah, so the E is lowercase, but there's no accent because fuck you. And then there's Nate Cirque, who is the
who is he? I don't know.
Yeah, so
you just turn the page and here's this guy. It's okay.
Yes.
Then there's another guy under him. It's like, okay.
His full name is Reldnak Natsu Nate Cirque. Is his full name.
Oh my gosh, it's Christian Chandler backwards.
It sure is. Reldnak Natsu Nate Cirque is the full name of Chris Chan's rival, who appears for all of like 3 of these and then never again.
I was gonna say, that sounded so familiar because my name backwards is Nodnarb.
Yeah, so and then there's Black
aka Blatchu.
so we're reading a non-modified version here. This is like the most canon one. This has since been retconned. His name is not Black Sonichu, it's Blake Sonichu.
Blake, naturally.
Or Blake Chew, as everyone refers him to. But I just love Black Chew.
Oh my
Yeah, because
gosh.
his DNA gets mixed with an accidental dose of cherry cola. Now that's some kind of villain writing that I would do. I like kind of like goofy things like that, but it's handled terribly. Okay.
So
The chaotic combo.
Do we even need to talk about this? Wait, so you said that these were just different forms, but here's Bubbles Rosechu. Is Bubbles Rosechu her own character, or do they change age with their forms?
So, good question.
So
Sonichu and Rosechu have only one form. It's questionable if they can use the Chaos Emeralds. It's hinted that they can. But they don't have other forms. There are just different kinds of Sonichus, right? There is I'll start with the one that gets shafted the most, Wild Sonichu, raised in a jungle by a Venusaur. We learned more about them in the chaotic combo issue, so we'll get to that. But right, Wild Sonichu is a grass and electric. He is he's a funny little guy. It describes us at the top where they come from, but we don't really see them yet, so I'm gonna kind of hold off from talking about them too much. Bubbles Rosechu is the youngest of the chaotic combo. I think she's 13. So she's the regular
can you
water
answer
one.
me if the issue in which they're all 18.
Yes.
Did that solve a problem for her?
Spoilers.
No.
Well, there's an issue which is widely considered to be the darkest issue of Sonichu, which says a lot, and she plays a very crucial role in that.
That's devastating. That is emotionally devastating.
And it happens prior to the age up. So, Angelica Rosechu, right? So not only does this confirm in this universe that God is real and that he's ignoring his own creations, but she's also a believer.
She sure is a believer.
Yeah. So she is usually at peace, especially while flying sky high, is a great description for a character who is often very violent. So we'll get to that. Punchy Sonichu is just Knuckles.
Yeah.
But he's a Sonichu anyways.
He lost his tail in a brutal fight.
He sure did. So it's questionable if any of these are like a species or if they're like one of a kind. I'm going to assume for the most part that they are one of a kind until they have kids. And last but not least, Magi-Chan Sonichu. Have you heard anything about Magi-Chan Sonichu before, Brandon?
Not at all.
Okay, so Magi-Chan Sonichu is, I think, is my favorite of the gang. He gets the most development out of all of our chaotic combo because almost all of them get shafted, no pun intended, immediately. Magi-Chan Sonichu makes numerous returns, one of which in real life, in which Magi-Chan marries Chris Chan.
Okay, Chris Chan or Christine Chan? Not that it makes it any better.
Yes and yes.
No!
So here's the thing. Christine Chandler is married to numerous characters, all right?
Naturally.
And I should,
wait, that
I
makes
should double check
Magi-Chan
myself.
gay.
Huh? No, so Christine Chandler, right? So here's...
No, but Magi-Chan marries Christian Chandler. It makes Christian Chandler gay.
It all happens at the same time. That's why I was like, yes.
Christian and Christine exist at the same time?
There's an area in between where it's kind of interchangeable because like most people who go through transgender transformations, it's like there isn't just like a switch being flicked. It's kind of like a gradient. The marriage happens during the gradient. So on a title of Sonichu Quickie / polyamorous marriage, Chris Chan is confirmed, Christine Chandler, since this is referring to after, is in a bisexual marriage with the fictional OCs of Magi-Chan, and I'm going to omit that character because we haven't met them yet, as well as another character that hasn't been introduced yet, and Mewtwo from the Pokemon movie.
Specifically from the Pokemon movie.
From the Pokemon movie. So there's 4 people, right? you know, Magichan's one of them. Magichan is a very cool character that gets a lot of development, I think, because of that relationship.
Yeah.
But that's more than we've met so far, right?
Naturally.
So then we meet Flame the Sunbird, who I completely forgot existed. I don't remember when he shows up.
He's here. He's here now.
He sure is. And then we meet Chris Chan Sonichu, which, big spoiler, because that was supposed to be a big deal when we meet them. Sarhama?
Rosechu.
That's supposed to be Sarah. Okay. And Wesley Sonichu, which we also don't get to see him until a little bit. Yeah, so you turn the page and then you get to see your villains here of what is yours
Christian
say?
Weston Chandler.
No, what do you see at the top of the page?
Jerkops and Mary Lee Walsh. And then a couple of 2-bit villains. I wouldn't even give 2 cents for them.
So you see Mary Lee Walsh, right?
Yeah.
Since this is a unedited issue, the current issue now labels her as Slawwheel the Witch.
Slawwheel?
Slawwheel the Witch is what her current name is.
Slaw on my wheel till I
We
witch.
have that issue that omits that because it is rather funny to see the blatant.
Is that just her name?
That's just her name. There's a real Mary.
Purely coincidental.
Yeah, purely coincidental. So then the person who gets the most description of all is Chris Chan, it's just great because the most detail put into any drawing and any coloring, all of it goes into this one frame here. Basics, 5'10", born in February, working towards a aided drafting and design degree at Piedmont, Virginia Community College. Yeah, that don't last for long. And I am also single, lonely, and I need a girlfriend.
Hey, gotta advertise where you can. If you've got a product, gotta get the name out there.
Speaking of, hold on, let me go to the last page here and find where is it? Oh yeah, so there is a description at the very end. If you go to the very end, it's the second to last page. During the funny little battle, we see Christian Weston Chandler describe the why he had to use the Cursa Hamehameha, which we'll get to that. He describes it as, this would not have happened if you had not threatened me, have you not challenged and threatened me, as well as not leaving me alone with my ever so frustrating love quest, calling me a lying solicitor, picking on my methods of attracting a boyfriend-free 18, in parentheses, my current age, year-old girl whom I could love and trust, and most importantly, handcuffing me on September 11, 2004 for no good reason. I hope that you have learned to never mess with a truly frustrated virgin when he is on a quest for a girlfriend to share true in love and trust with. Dear God.
I feel like I could trust this man with my kids.
Uh-huh.
I feel like I need to get this man a set of car keys right now.
So I think it's very important to point out that this is very much a self-insert comic, right? That's, and you mentioning,
obviously not,
you gotta advertise
because
where you can.
because Chris Chan Sonichu and Sonichu are 2 different beings.
Yes, they are. And there's a very funny thing. You'll notice this, and I'll ask you later as it happens. Chris Chan Sonichu takes the front page character almost immediately after this, and Sonichu kind of disappears. We get to see Sonichu a couple times, but once his arc completes at like issue 3 of like 14, he kind of disappears.
Like the character?
But yeah, like Sonichu just kind of doesn't show up anymore, right?
But it's Sonichu.
Yeah. So,
but he's Sonichu.
The author, and red tape, and
Well, anyway.
Genesis of the Love Hogs. So
This is a little story where we have Sonichu. Oh, my new bigger body needs more food than before, and nuts and apples can't cut it. Not only that, I feel so lonesome. He's like, huh? And he sees Rosechu. He's like, wow.
His composure.
I really like that panel of Rosechu.
This just goes to show you Christian's mindset about women, because he gets attracted to her and he goes, where's she running off to? And proceeds to follow her home.
Yeah, and so Rosechu is talking to Kel, and Rosechu is lamenting her love life. She goes, this is my transformation last week. I felt so lonesome because there's no other Pokemon like me to love. Oh, relax, Rosie. What about my Dragonite, David? He's loyal. Oh, come on, Kel. David's just too big for me. You can have him. I don't want him.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Kel has a Dragonite, and Rosechu suggests that they should date. And she says...
Kel says, well, can't say I didn't try. Hey, for all we know, your love could be just around the corner. Or right at the door. Knock, knock. I'll get that. Hello, how may I? And then there is our eligible bachelor himself.
He's just kind of standing there.
Hey, and then I'm just a wild one who hasn't eaten forever.
I put in my notes here that Sonichu daps up Rosechu on page 14. Do you see it there?
He sure does.
What a wonderful little instance here. So, let me go down this board here. Sonichu daps up Rosechu. Kel has a Dragonite that suggests that she should date. Hedgehog, Blackchu, Relknack, Natsu, Natesurk, Merely Walsh. Oh yeah, Rosechu and Sonichu are 15 and 16. Angelica Rosechu is a believer. Oh yeah, so let's continue. So, what's your name?
Oh my
Sonichu,
gosh.
Right? Yes?
I love this line where... So Sonichu introduces himself, right? You got, my name's Rosechu. You can call me anytime. How about I call you Rosie? Hey, we have a guest. Hey, that's my nickname. Boy, I thought I was a speedy one. Well, I think she's cute anyways. Kel comes in. Who is it, Rosie? Stew's almost ready, and I get my favorite line of the entire volume. It's gonna be difficult for a line to beat this. I don't know, but in the Stone Age is pretty good. We have Rosechu saying, Kel, this is Sonichu. He wishes to break bread with us.
I can't believe that's your favorite, considering just a short pop and a skip down 2 panels. Christian reveals that his concept of romantic banter is, so what's your favorite color?
Yellow? No, blue. Just he wishes to break bread with us. He sure does.
No, I'm not remembering. What do you mean the Stone Age one? Are you referring to that one really choppy line?
Where he's like, I heard you loud and clear, but in the Stone Age.
All right, but in the Stone Age, I need to remember when this
do you
happens.
not remember that? That's a classic.
Oh yeah, the line of, but during the Stone Age. Yeah, he says, what the? Sonichu run. He says, you don't have to tell me twice, but during the Stone Age.
Oh my gosh.
God. Whew. Okay, so yes, Chris's idea for romantic banter is, so what's your favorite color? That's one of my favorite lines right there.
That's so true.
Yeah, so Kel says, wow, another hedgehog Pokemon and a male for Rosechu. This must be fate, as she puts it.
Part 5?
Yeah, it's honestly, it was foretold in the manuscripts, apparently.
It was.
Yeah, so then we happen to skip over to the next few days, because that dinner wasn't important or anything.
Yeah.
They're having a romantic, I don't know, staring at the moon.
This is messing with me, because some of these panels read right to left, but the comic itself is left to right. Like it sure is. Isn't the night sky so romantic? Like, he just predicted what she was gonna say.
He sure did, yeah. So I kind of you're right. I just read the whole panel at a time, and then my mind just unscrambles who said what when. And it gets bad. So, especially when we get into the arcs where there are entire paragraphs covering the page, it gets really confusing as to who's talking when.
Yeah.
So, you get used to it. So, on this page, you get the most lovely sentence as often as birds tweet, you are my lovely heart sweet.
It's so true.
Yeah, and then she says, oh, Sonichu, which I guess they're just on a first name basis now. And they go in for a kiss, right?
Uh-huh.
And and then fireworks happen like right at that exact moment, which I don't remember what the fireworks are for, but I guess, New Year's Day or something.
I'm just watching fireworks, dude. It just happens.
Right. So, do you like this mid-spread ad we get for a Sonichu Advance game and a Sonichu?
I'm gonna sue him for false advertising if I can't go buy this right now.
You can't, but that's really unfortunate.
You can't tell me no one ever tried to make these games.
I don't know. I actually haven't looked that up, but it is funny that, the typical, 2 Pokemon games is to have 2 different legendaries on the front, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, that's not the case here. We have Sonichu Advanced and
Lightning
Sonichu,
version.
and then Pokemon Lightning version. Yeah, so we get a Sonic game and a Pokemon game with the same characters on them. Is what it is. So,
and I really can appreciate how he forgot the V in advance. He had to put it
did
in
he?
there.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, because it's a dance, and then they had to scribble the V in up top.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
I guess he drew this entire thing in pen.
I think so. There's a couple other good ones, like towards the very end, I have one funny one just like that. So we got our next issue here. This is episode 3, Sonichu versus Natesirk, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about Natesirk?
He's there. I'm looking forward to learning more about his lore, I think.
Uh-huh.
Figuring out why he's the way that he is. Why is he so hateful?
Right. So
how did he catch the Zapdos?
When did Rosechu get captured?
Something. What is a KB?
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't even remember what KB is.
What is it?
I don't know.
What's there?
There's one that says GameStop next to it. I can only assume that KB is some kind of store, but I don't.
Maybe it only exists in Quickville.
Maybe so. That might be what this is. So, Kel forgot her credit card, or sorry, Kel wanted to lend Rosechu some money and allowed Rosie to borrow the credit card and said that she wasn't allowed to spend over $100, which is why Sonichu's going with her, right? So Rosechu almost immediately tries to buy everything and, absolutely everything the store has to offer, which is then when a Zapdos bursts through the wall, snatches her immediately, and then eventually what happens is Rosechu is captured and Sonichu admits, I have to save my girlfriend, as he puts it, and the heart's a lovely, the exclamation point's got a lovely heart on it. So, yeah, it's so adorable, right?
And we have some sick action scenes.
Right. So there was something wrong with this page. I needed to. One of the Pokemon uses a move that I think it's Zapdos Drill Peck. Is it? Okay. Yeah, it can. It can learn Wing Attack. Yeah. So I believe it's
confused though, does it? It just raises evasion.
You're absolutely right. Double Team does not confuse. It just raises evasion, which is exactly what it doesn't do. I think that might have been what it was. Yeah. Very funny. So then he essentially just ignores all of them and just one of them jumps for her. And I think he grabs her. Yeah, he grabs her. Cool. That makes sense. Yeah. And then randomly a countdown starts where it explodes,
the final
I guess.
blow countdown.
Oh, you're right. I can't believe I forgot. Yeah, final blow countdown. Which, he uses thunder, I think. Yeah, that's thunder. Cool. Yeah, hey, I couldn't miss out on this.
He sure couldn't, could he?
Staring front log in the camera.
Soulless eyes.
Good time. Yeah, so Nate Cirque over here is like, enjoy your victory now, but we'll meet again. He also just has a Raikou.
Naturally.
I don't know.
They had to use Zapdos.
Yeah, so, and then he goes, I will capture you for my father and Team Rocket. Let's go, Raikou. And then he leaves, and then we see a lovely CVS pharmacy, Hallmark, American Eagle.
I'm really glad that in this, like, Giovanni is being set up as a potential main villain for the series.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to
the
development we're seeing here, especially with the development of his son in this chapter, where we can see that he's very obviously an intimidating Pokemon trainer. And knowing that we're still in the Pokemon universe, obviously, because Sonichu is a Pokemon as well, being able to see the intimidatingness of this. But I feel like this is also a good landmark for Sonichu's character and strength at this point, because here he is, and he has just defeated Zapdos. And the last time we saw him fight was never. And so just to finally have that confirmation of, yes, you know, sure, I might have failed last time. We don't know that, but we can assume that. And knowing that his love for Rosechu made him stronger, and he was able to finally blow that bird or whatever he did, and to count down to that.
Yeah,
he was able to overcome the strong electric type. I can appreciate the introduction of Raikou here, though, because that sets up in the future for Sonichu to take down another electric type. And then for Sonichu to, as an electric type, eventually take down Giovanni's ground team. I think that this setup is really excellent, and looking forward to the future. I think it's quite genius.
So here's a funny thing, right?
Yeah.
Up until now, who's Sonichu's cast of friends? Right?
Rosechu and Kel.
Rosechu and Kel, right? No, and list of enemies, just to be all encompassing.
Night Cirque and Black Sonichu.
We have not met Black Sonichu, but Nate Cirque absolutely, right? Chris Chan shows up on page 26. Sorry, oh yeah, sorry, he does show up on 25. He doesn't say anything. He's just standing there like a foot and a half taller than Kel. It's just so ominous. Especially how his eyes are looking in two completely different directions.
He's chilling.
Then, next page, Chris Chan says, as mayor of Quickville, I congratulate you on your victory. Thank you for saving the day. Good job, Sonichu. And he's like, thank you. So he essentially, takes full, responsibility, being like, oh yeah, you've saved the day. I am the mayor of Quickville, and I congratulate you. Congratulate you.
Yeah.
Which is funny because on the next page, what does Sonichu say to Chris Chan?
I think so too, father.
Yeah. Where the fuck does that come from? So I marked on my notes here, Chris Chan meets Sonichu, and moments later, Sonichu calls him father without ever having an instance to meet him.
This is the epilogue. You see, we don't know, because we haven't seen him not have gay sex with Chris Chan.
Yeah, but here's the funny thing, is Chris Chan then breaks the fourth wall and says, well, Sonichu, I feel this comic book is my best work yet. He goes, yeah, all this fantastic creativity. Are you still girlfriend free? Because it bothers me too, but I'll never give up. I'll find a boyfriend-free girl around my age yet. He goes, well, I gotta go to Fashion Square Mall to try again, which is where our next, issue starts up.
Yeah.
He goes, good luck, Pop.
There he goes with a grin on his face. In the end, he'll say, one girlfriend, please. He'll probably fail again. I'm proud to have a brave father.
Yep. So, very bizarre.
So I feel like,
think that this is the
does
ending,
this
right?
then imply that they're actors? Does this imply that Sonichu itself is a comic book inside of the Sonichu universe?
What I think it actually is, and this is not in reference to anything we've been introduced yet. This is purely my theory based on what we see throughout the entire story. And that is, Sonichu itself runs, so everything that happens to Chris Chan in our world happens to Chris Chan in the comic, right?
Yeah.
So Chris Chan gets bullied over 4chan. Then Chris Chan in the comic gets bullied over 4chan, except for it manifests as literal people trying to beat him up. But things don't happen vice versa. Things he does in the comic do not happen outside in the real world, obviously, right?
Sometimes.
So that's the confusing part, is it's kind of like a retcon, as whatever happens to him happens in the comic, but the opposite does not happen. So it's kind of a one-way continuity.
Yeah.
Where events in one world happen in the other, but not the other way around. So let's get into some of the funny things of classic Sonichu strips. You know, good old classics. You remember this Sonichu 25 years later. So this is kind of a reference to a comic book that I actually read when I was like a little kid, called Sonic the Hedgehog 25 years later. Now, that is a really, really awesome comic because it gets to show what happens in Mobius, you know, after everything's said and done. Sonic is essentially the king of the world, and Amy is like the queen and whatnot. Or sorry, not Amy is not the queen. Sally's the queen. Amy is kind of doing her own thing. But in this comic, that does not happen. And for some reason, why Rosechu gets like vampire fangs?
It's hot.
Sure. Yeah, so he spells sweetheart without the E. He's a sweetheart, H-A-R-T.
That's so true.
And could cut 100 logs before breakfast. There's some gay subtext right there. But so we get to see our first instance of Black Sonichu, right?
Naturally.
And he's upset because why?
Because they're dating?
No, because Black Sonichu's following them. Now, recall the hypocrisy, if you will.
Uh-huh.
What did Sonichu do in order to meet Rosechu in the beginning?
He wanted to break bread with them, obviously.
Yeah. Straight up followed that bitch home is what he did. So it's interesting because there is so much to talk about in all of these issues. Like the beginning of this one comic that's just titled Sonichu, but has nothing to do with any issues we've seen so far. It just, Rosechu starts it with, "I've been living my life and being beautiful," like the most self-centered whore we've ever met. And Sonichu responds with, "Yeah, what's new?"
Well, no, I think the what's new is supposed to come before that. Hey, Rose, what's new? Well, Sonichu, I've been living my life.
I can see it going either way, really.
You know what? We'll read it in the canon order, left to right.
Yeah, right. So it says, "Seriously, I didn't have to work so hard. I'm tired of it. But being with you, a great friend, makes me feel much better." It's a little bizarre because
they're not dating here yet.
But they are, though, because she talks as if it's been a long time, but we've learned that only a few days later after that they met, they're dating. And also, Black Sonichu exists, which hasn't been created yet.
Well, no, he has, because he's here.
Well, he's here now, which means that this comic takes place much later.
No, it takes place between when they met and when they started dating.
All right, so the continuity here gets a little bit hazy. Let's go on to Chris Chan plus Sonichu versus the Mastermind, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of like
our alone on my love quest.
Mm-hmm.
No choice but to fight you, Mary Lee Walsh. Who is this character?
So, Chris Chan, lovely Chris Chan, back during 2003, I think. It's drawn during 2004, but the events happened in 2003. He would go to this local mall, which we now know is, local, what is it? It's Virginia. We're in Virginia. Richmond, Virginia?
No, Richmond is too big.
No,
you're thinking like the capital of Virginia.
Ruckersville, Virginia. That's the one. So Chris Chan would go to Ruckersville Mall, and he would he had a couple funny little gambits. One of which he held a sign that would say that titular message we've seen of looking for a 18-year-old, my current age, boyfriend-free girl. And he would often get kicked out by the mall cops because obviously you can't harass people like that. It's weird. Yeah. Another one he would take a red thread on the ground and just kind of toss it. So when someone would pick it up, they would like follow it. And he called it his red thread of fate. And like sometimes it's just be like either children or like really old men.
Oh.
So, you know, thread of fate. But we get to see the sorry, I explained. So the individual here that's you know, banning him from his in this instance, like the mall, is the jerk ops, right? Come on, get out of here. Get out. Get out. Anyways, so leave. Get out. We're doing a recording. So anyways, so there's these mall cops, right? And the mall cops in this universe are referred to as the jerk ops, which are funny little individuals who do the abhorrent behavior of saying, "Hey, dude, can you not?" It's
because he wants to.
Unacceptable.
He wants to.
Yeah, and Mary Lee Walsh is kind of like, she's the dean of the community college that he got kicked out of. Now, why did he get kicked out of it? He
got kicked out of Piedmont Community College?
Yeah, for doing exactly what he did in Ruckersville Mall. Like, going out and, like, having the sign out and, you know, people getting upset. He tried to do a project one time where Sonichu was, like, the main character and someone was upset with him for it. And, you know, there's a lot of that. But essentially, he uses his signature attack here, and Sonichu uses his signature attack of, you know, thunder, and Chris Chan uses the Curse Ya Hameha. Yeah. You know, and it destroys her. Like, she gets absolutely atomized.
All she goes is hee hee, hee hee, hee hee.
And then she goes, ah, and then she gets literally reduced to pudding.
Itemized.
We've yet to see
itemized. She does get itemized, doesn't she? She gets atomized.
Literally atomized, turned to nothing.
Question.
What's your question, Kyle?
Has he had the Goku gun get him attitude yet?
No, Kyle, don't. That's later. Jeez.
Don't spoil it, Kyle. Goodness gracious.
So the next issue, also titled Sonichu for some reason with no other description, has Chris Chan Sonichu, right? Have we met Chris Chan Sonichu yet?
He was in the character introduction.
Right, but we have not met the first instance of Chris Chan Sonichu yet, which is funny because at the end of this issue, we do. It just comes out of order for some reason.
Well, naturally.
So Nate Cirque over here wearing a completely different outfit, different hair color, everything is like, haha, these hedgehogs will learn of your capture and they'll run into my trap. And he's like a garage door or whatever. And they bust through. And he's like, Nate Cirque, release my mom or we'll give you the shock of your life. He goes, take one step and I'll make her cell explode. You don't want that, do you? And he's like, oh no. And last second, Chris Chan saves his mother.
By blowing up the cell.
Yeah, by blowing, yeah. It says, are you all right, Mom? Because I am now, thanks to you and your son. Happy Mother's Day. So yeah, this is 100% a Mother's Day comic, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's our lovely instance, and I believe it's one of 2 instances we see Chris Chan's mom in the comics. That's one.
I'm glad we don't have to see her a lot.
Yeah, very infamous.
Brings up bad memories.
Yeah.
The curse of knowledge.
Yeah, next issue, Sonichu again. No subtitle. Just, are they episodes? Are they sub episodes? Are they, you know, classic Sonichu strips? We don't know. This is the jerk ops one, right?
Yeah.
So she essentially traps Chris Chan Sonichu with the jerk ops at there's a Abercrombie and a boat. Does it say Bojangles?
Like Bemoj or something.
I think so, yeah. So she's like, yeah, that's right. There's no escape from my magic and my jerk op squad. Wanted girlfriend, tough lightning. Yeah, so she uses puns that he would use.
Hey, Kyle.
He's not here anymore.
He isn't.
He atomized as well. Yeah. So he fights the jerk ops and they absolutely don't stand a chance until one of them punches him right in his squirrely little penis and he says, "Ah, dirty rats."
And so he's in front of a Sun Koa.
Uh-huh.
And then he's in front of a GameStop.
And then a GameStop. I think it like the perspective mirrors and shows like the other side.
There's a KB in the background with the Bring It On panel. It's closing soon.
What'd you say?
There's a KB.
Oh yeah, closing soon, and it's closing soon. Yeah, interesting. So that must be why we don't see them anymore.
I guess so. They closed.
Yeah. So, Rosechu's like, "Oh no, Chris," and then we see Kel's transformation. I think no, this is Sarah, right?
Yeah,
this
that's
is
Sarah.
Yeah, this is the first of the Chris Chan girlfriend characters. She breaks up with him because she finds out that he's been like sexually fantasizing about her and is drawing a lot of weird explicit stuff of her, and that's why they break up. But she never dated him. He just assumed that they were. But this is one of those instances where she shows up and she's got her own form. So after changing back, they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, yeah, well, tyranny and oppression is against your quest, huh? Let's rest a while, then I'll help you. Want a girlfriend? You got it, best friend." Smiley
Dude
face.
friend zones himself in his own comic. Bro, there is no hope. I mean,
honestly.
Bro hit bedrock and started mining.
He sure did. And then we got the Chris Chan GameCube game. Which is very funny because as you could tell in the top left corner, he has cut out the top only for GameCube logo, but the actual GameCube logo itself is not cut out. It's like drawn on. I don't know why, but it is. Then we got my favorite of the groups here, which is sub episode 1, Christian Chandler in Jerk-Op Catastrophe. Mouthful.
That's so true.
So one of the things I have to mention first, can we go back to the panel of her showing up, the Sarah Sonichu?
Yeah.
Do you see the logo of the the JC Penney's? You were saying earlier, it's almost as if he did this in pen, right? So you can see her, he spelled JC Penney's with a Y and then scribbled it out and made it an I, but neither of those are correct. It is a Y, but it's like it's an apostrophe, right?
Yeah.
Am I? Yeah. So J.C. Penney's is just not his forte. I had that marked, so I wanted to mention it. So in this instance here, we've got Chris Chan who's on his love quest here, and he's got his little sign here. I don't even. It says Nintendods or something like that.
No, it's a Nintendo DS.
Oh, it is, yeah. And it's got a little Sonichu ball on it, which I believe he actually made like a little paper cutout and taped it to his actual DS.
So this is him
continuity.
at the mall with his sign.
Right. This is in real life, so to speak, yes. Right? And then the evil jerk-ops won't leave me alone either. I'm just a lonely, frustrated virgin looking for true love. Lasai. Hey, I'm calling you out, huh? I'm so sick of complaints and tears on and about how lonely you are. You need a girlfriend. You're nothing but a lowly liar, you solicitor.
Shock.
Just leave me alone. Don't you? I'm only looking for true love and trust. No dice, my fellow jerk-offs will fight you and force you to leave. Cuff him. So this is kind of like our boss here, right?
Yeah.
So this is where we see the first ever transformation of Chris Chan into Chris Chan Sonichu. So he breaks from his handcuffs, kicks him right in the gonads, and is like, I better transform quickly. And he uses his medallion to change into Chris Chan Sonichu, right?
Yeah.
This is a canonical power that Chris Chan claims exists in our real world. That the medallion, whoever wields it, has the power to transform into a Sonichu version of themselves when activated, right?
But then there were other people who held the medallion. Did the power work for them?
There are now 4 medallions in existence known. One of them has been smashed, so technically 3. But there are 3 because they've been stolen, they've been auctioned. Most of them are covered in gunk and slime. But like, yeah, if you were to have one and use it, that's what it would do. As far as I could tell, no one's transformed into a Sonichu version of themselves. I know. I checked.
Okay,
but,
so you possess one of the 4.
No, but here's the thing. So Christian transforms, and then he proceeds to squeal out as many classic rock references as possible.
Here we go. Let's rock and roll with things that make you go, everybody dance now. A reference to C and
Yeah.
C Music Factory.
Yeah. So then he goes, "Oh, watch me, metal armor equip," and then a clock thing happens, and he suddenly gets in his armor, and he's launching stuff: rocket punch, mega kick, back missile. Ooh. He uses double team, laser beam, mirror coat, and he's like, "Oh, my armor, thunderbolt." So the guy is essentially on the ground, and he's got a gun, and he's like, "Oh," and the gun fires a bullet, which barrier then completely deflects. Right?
It's impressive. It's an impressive feat there.
Which now confirms that Sonichu can deflect bullets. Which
It
makes
also
him very
confirms that on power scaling tiers, in terms of speed, Sonichu is near light speed because he was able to get the barrier up so fast.
right, which therefore makes him as strong and as fast as Goku.
I believe so.
Right. So then we get the lovely line of fuzzly wuzzlies get you hugs, prickly wicklies get you slugs. You gave me a slug, so I'll get my secret ultimate attack. Curse ya, Hame Ha. What do you think about this power, Brandon?
I mean, on one hand, I can appreciate it because seeing this jerk ops captain lose in such a way is very satisfying because of the hell that he obviously put Christian and Chandler through.
Right.
However, on the other hand, I think that it messes up the power scaling too much to be a viable power in this universe. Because the origins of it are dubious at best. I know, given Christian Weston Chandler's checkered history at this point in the story, it can be kind of hard to pinpoint the exact location of this power.
Yes.
I do think its utilization is good. I just think, this was the Jerk Ops captain. He's one of the primary antagonists of the first novel here, right? To see him lose to this attack, I think, especially later, it introduces some power scaling issues in that why did he release the Kamehameha onto this low level of
this
enemy?
lone character, yes.
Yes. But I can definitely appreciate its inclusion and introduction into the story here.
Yeah, and I think so. What do you think about its ability? How would you describe its ability here?
Wonder of you.
I literally put into my notes, Kamehameha is the same stand type as Wonder of You. So,
Chief, your wife just called. She has divorced you and left you. She took all your things. She took your children, too. Also, she loathes you for your filthy smoking habit. I like to imagine this guy didn't even smoke.
It's the best. Literally, Curse Yahameha, essentially as Curse references it, it bundles all of his curse energy, all of his misfortune in his life, which, if you think about it, Chris has gone through quite a lot of misfortune, right?
Yeah.
He bottles all the misfortune he has ever experienced, and he funnels it into one charged beam, which then fires out of him, and whoever it hits, they receive all of that misfortune in one moment.
But didn't it atomize Mary Lee Walsh? I guess it would be pretty unfortunate to be atomized.
Yeah, so in that instance, we can hypothetically assume that the amount of misfortune he had gone through without funneling it into another one of these attacks was
being
enough
atomized.
to literally atomize an individual.
Signature attack for a reason.
Oh my goodness. It is one of those abilities that I think really makes this comic so endearing, because it's like, okay, but what the hell? So I need to mention, because is it later in this comic? Okay, we're nearing the end. I need to go back and check for something. Where was it? It was just before. Was it? Oh, here it is. So back on page 21, right? We see this instance where like she's shopping, right? And Sonichu's like following her around and making sure that she doesn't, like go and spend all of her money. And then they go and they have dinner, they have lunch in like in a what do you call that? Well, I'm drawing a blank on the word. Like a little cafeteria of sorts.
Yeah.
What does Sonichu say?
What
Are you on the page right now?
What page?
Oh, sorry, page 21.
21.
Mm-hmm.
Sonichu says, I
I'll
hate
read
pickles.
it for you. Yeah, so thankfully Kel gave me some cash for lunch, but how was I to know that cheeseburgers had pickles? She's like, oh man, that salad was great. What's wrong, Sweet Bolt? Which is just one of those nicknames I'm gonna have to like coin. Because it's so terrible, but like it's endearingly terrible. Sonichu hates pickles.
Yes.
Why does he hate pickles?
Because pickles are a euphemism for penis, and he's not gay.
100% accurate, but you would never assume that until Chris Chan describes it himself. Sonichu hates pickles because pickles to Sonichu are like penises, and to consume a penis would be the end of all times. So
Glad to know there's a doomsday clock in the Sonichu universe, and it's Sonichu becoming bi-curious.
It really is, honestly. So we get our ending here where we learn about the S-Chew ball, which is a special kind of Pokeball used for capturing electric hedgehog type, which is just a lovely description right there. Gotta love that type chart there. I don't think it's ever used after this. I know there are other kind of Sonichu balls that appear that like are specific to like certain types, but we don't ever see a generic one ever again. And that's kind of interesting because it's like the most generic, but we don't ever see them. So, we see funny little jerk ops man who's like, "Oh, my soul hurts," and he goes, "Yeah, well, so did mine, and my heart was previously shattered too."
Never miss with a truly frustrated virgin when he is on a quest for a girlfriend to share true love and trust with.
Oh yeah, so his signature catchphrase. Who could forget it? And then we get our very end. Message saying, I hope that you enjoyed this, blah, blah. Before we talk about that and end this off, I wanted to mention, Chris Chan requests that everyone, so this is concurrent to this issue. Chris Chan, on his website when this was released, requested that everyone to harass Nintendo to put Sonichu in a Pokemon game, or to put Sonichu in a Sonic game. Why is that a problem?
Either of those happened.
No. Why is that a problem, though?
Because I feel like Sonichu has a couple people have read it.
Well, yes. I think the problem here is more akin to this was released in 2005, in which at the time Nintendo had not purchased either Pokemon Company or Sega. So why is he asking everyone to harass Nintendo?
Because
He's just sending hate their way for no reason.
Bill Gates, if you don't change the mileage my Tesla gets, you're gone.
That's essentially what's happened here. But it's a funny little thing. So I think I've gone through all my notes here. Fuzzy Wuzlies, he can deflect bullets. Yep. So the last page here. Because I hope that you enjoyed the sample episode in this free comic of the Sonichu comic book. Yes, they are all free. I don't know why that's specified here. So he takes great pride in his characters in City of Quickville. He says he wants it to be more than just on paper. He wants it to be his own video game, a cartoon show, other fine merchandise. So here's where it says here. It says, if you'd like to see Sonichu as a real video game too, or catch him in a Pokemon title, please send your request to Nintendo of America or Nintendo Power Magazine. Two things. Obviously, Nintendo does not own Pokemon or Sega, which he's asking explicitly here. And Nintendo Power didn't exist anymore.
Well, you gotta call in.
Yeah, I don't
Be creative.
understand.
True fans understand.
Yep. And then finally, it says, thank you for reading the free sample in all caps again. And Sonichu, as Sonichu says, let's zap to the extreme. And we get to see the first ever drawing of Sonichu and the first ever drawing of Chris Chan below it. So, final comments.
you know, unironically, right? Been a lot of goofs and gaffs this video. Genuinely, I am scared for where this series is going to go.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Christian Weston Chandler is a very obviously deranged man. And right now, it's funny. Right now, it's very funny to see funny little man who can't draw be like, yeah, screw you for handcuffing me in the mall. I'm going to draw this little comic of me using the Kamehameha on you. I am
buddy, your wife's dead.
I am so scared of where his derangement will go. This man is very obviously unhinged. And like,
so
it's funny now. Like I think that I'm going to get to like volume 13 and be terrified.
I believe that volumes 1 through 3, so they're issues. Issues 1 through 3, I believe they happened. I believe they happened without any internet influence, if I'm correct. Yeah, so volumes 1 through 3, not a single person had seen this other than like a few trace individuals. Oh, that's funny. That's where we find the funny Flame the Sunbird. Haha. Anyways, we essentially do not know of any person who's like interacted with Chris Chan during this time other than the people in his life, but following that in like issue 4, where like we start to see some of like the jerk ops and people start to like really get involved, and then we start to see some other individuals popping up. Oh, that's funny. I just realized they reused a comic in one of these. Anyways, we eventually get to come to the terrifying conclusion that people who harass Chris enough get to appear in his comics.
And people, I assume, wanted to appear in the comics.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What, you think they would?
I am genuinely terrified of where this man's derangement will come from. Like, I know, haha, funny, he draws them having sex later. What kind of man does that?
So, and there's a lot to talk about when we get there, but I think to wrap up all of this discussion of issue 0 in a nice little bow, it is to say the Chris Chan Sonichu Chronicles are what occurs when man is left in isolation with nothing but creativity and is asked to cope.
And as such he seethes.
And as such he seethes. So yeah, that's
I've
issue
said
0.
my piece if you said yours.
I've said mine.
Well, if you're this far in the video, all 1 hour and 17 minutes of it, then there's obviously something you liked. So make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what your favorite moment from this issue was. Coming out next, I don't know, because I have no clue when this will go out. It'll go out eventually. But we will see you next time with Sonichu Book Club. Bye-bye.
Toodaloo.